To correctly wire up a transformer for input and output, the first thing we will do is on our input, we will wire up the pigtail you received with your transformer. You'll take your brown wire and wire it into the L or live terminal. Blue will go to neutral and green will go to ground. For output, you have a negative side and a positive side. Each side has 3 terminals. You want to make sure you use the corresponding terminals on each side. So in this case, we have used the far right side of each. So far right of the negative, far right of the positive. If you use the center, one of the negative, use the center and the positive, and same thing. If you use the left and the negative, use the left on the positive. All right, the next step here is to wire up our Somfy receiver. The first thing we're going to do is unplug the connector for the power in. We're going to wire it to our transformer, positive, positive, negative, negative. I've used 14-2 wire. The linear motor doesn't need as much amperage to it, output. And so you can get away with a lighter gauge wire. I know in the past we've recommended 12-2 for the gear motor and gamma setup. This one, it's a little more user friendly and it'll help get the wires in tighter. I know people have been having issues with that. So we're going to plug it into the center jack. The next step is you have these blocks, the wire blocks that go on these electrical pegs. You have a set here and a set over here. Take those off. You can actually break apart these blocks so you have individual, a 2 set. Recommend doing that. It just gives you a little more room. And again, you're just going to wire it into your motor wires. Doesn't matter which one goes to what. We are only using the outer 2 pegs on each side. Left side S1 is for motor 1. S2 is for motor 2. So let's plug those in on each side. Same thing over here. All right, to program our Somfy remote, the first thing you need to do is over here, there is a row of 5 switches right below the program button. Make sure that number 4 is turned on, the rest need to be off. Now we've already wired in our 2 motors. If you're only doing 1, go ahead and just wire in the 1. If you're doing 2, make sure you wire in both of them before you start programming, or you'll never be able to get the second motor to program properly. Once you've done that, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to push the program button and wait for the yellow lights to blink. You're going to let go. Your motor will jog. The next step is to push the up and down button on the handheld. The motor will jog again. At this point, you're going to push the up button. It's going to send the motor arm in, and you want to go all the way in. Now, if your motor is going out, push the my button and hold it down until the motor jogs, and it will reverse the way the motor goes. Now it's going out. Ours was going in the right way. I'm going to push it again. All right, so now we're going the right way. We're going to put it all the way in. At this point, you're going to push the up and down again, and it's going to send our motor all the way out and run it all the way back in. It's going to go through its full course. All right, now that our motor has ran its full in and out course, you will then just push the down button and you're going to let it run for about 3 seconds. We just want it to open a little ways so that we can have set our freeze sensor. Once you've run it out, I've run mine out about 4 inches. I'm going to push the mine button and hold it. The motor will jog. Once it's jogged, I flip the handheld over, push the button on the back, we go. And the motor jogs, and that is programmed. Okay, to program the second motor, at this point, once you have the first one programmed, you're going to push program again. The yellow lights are going to turn on. You let go, motor will jog. Then you push it again, and it switches over to the far right light. My second motor has jogged. Now I'm ready to program. At this point, you're just going to go through the same steps that I just mentioned for the second motor if you're using the linear actuated motor. Now, if you are wiring up a gear motor to the Somfy, to program the gear motor, I'm just going to push the up and down buttons together. It jogs my motor, flip it over, push the button, and it's programmed. All right. If during your programming you feel like you've made a mistake and something's not working the way it should, to wipe the memory of the receiver, all we need to do is push the program button, and you'll hold it down, and you're going to get a series of lights, and you're going to just keep waiting until you get some movement from your motors. You get all the lights turn on, you can let go, and that will wipe the memory, and you can restart. All right, so here are some disclaimers, some things that I've learned as I've been playing with the Somfy remote, with the different motors, and learning to program it, and just being able to work with it quite a bit now. The number one thing is the compatibility with the gear motor. I'm not a huge fan of the two of them mixed together. The gear motor just isn't smart enough for this. You're not able to use the rain sensor or the freeze sensor. It's not a clean, crisp control on the handheld. The motor will actually keep moving just like a half a second longer than after you push it. And the linear motor works perfect. I think the difference is the gear motor is just not a smart motor, and hence it has issues. So I highly recommend the linear motor. If it was my house, I would put the linear motor on if I was using Somfy. So I don't think the gear motor is worth the money to mix with Somfy. So it's up to you, but that's just my 2 cents. The other thing that I know I missed was the handheld. The one thing I want to point out is as you're programming it, you have this button on the bottom, and it transfers through the different channels. So as you are programming each motor, make sure you switch to the channel you want that motor on. So before you start like programming motor 1, make sure you're in the channel 1 or whichever one. And then as you before you program the next motor, switch it over by using this button here. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. With Somfy, like I said, I think a lot of people are having issues with it, and we're excited to get this out so that we can all learn and be a little more successful. I did have issues when I was first learning, but I think a lot of it was just learning curve and not realizing how to do it. Now that I've programmed it a whole bunch of times, I feel a lot more confident and able to do it just about every time without any issues. So I think as we go, it's a new product. We may have issues here and there, but for the most part, we should have some pretty good success with it. We just need to get more comfortable with the product. With that being said, if you do have issues with it, feel free to contact me. My info will be at the end of the video, and we hope you all have a good one, and we will talk to you soon. See ya.